Hello and welcome to another Home Inspector M.D video. Today, we're looking at 10 simple ways to maintain the exterior part of your house. Home Inspector M.D is based on the analogy that our house is like a person. We all must maintain our bodies year after year, but don't ignore maintaining your house year after year, or else it'll start to break down and end up costing you thousands in repairs. Let's start on top with the roof. Wherever you live, there are going to be storms. Whether they involve hail, snow, rain, or high winds, all can damage your roof and be costly. But it can be even more costly if there is damage and you don't fix it right away. So our advice is to examine your roof annually and each time there is a severe storm, especially involving hail or high winds. Asphalt shingles are susceptible to uplift from high winds. Missing shingles can be a big problem. So you may want to try to examine your roof across the street using binoculars. Or, like many inspectors, use a drone to fly over your roof. You don't need a $1,000 drone for this. A simple, low-cost drone can do the job. Besides, they're also great for kids to fly for fun. If you don't repair the roof, this may lead to water leakage and a much larger repair bill in the end. Next, we have a tip everyone should know by now, but it's worth repeating here. Keep your gutters clean and free of debris. Either clean the gutters, or better yet, invest in some type of gutter guard so that water can enter the gutters, but not debris. The entire point of gutters and downspouts is to divert rainwater away from the foundation of your home. Water against your foundation may lead to water leaking into your basement. Even worse, large amounts of water against the foundation can lead to the settlement of the house, creating cracks in the foundation and wall structure. Speaking of which, be observant on the outside of your house if it's raining. This is a great time to check if your gutters are leaking, because this could lead to a large amount of water discharging at the side of the house. And during winter, if the leak is near stairs, this could lead to icy and thus slippery stairs. And speaking of gutters, often there are debris in the gutters because of large trees close to the house. Look out for tree branches over your roof. This is not ideal, so trim them away from the roof. Not only do the leaves end up in the gutter, tree branches can fall and damage your roof. Also, fallen leaves on the roof keep the roof from drying after a rainstorm. This can lead to water damage, so remove them. This is especially true of low slope or flat roofs. Let's move off the roof and into the garden. Gardens growing on the side of the house are something inspectors will also report on. Always remove vegetation growing along the side of the foundation and wall. If you have a garden, have a raised planter with 4 sides and have at least a 2-inch gap between the wall and the garden. Gardens contain a lot of water, and have it next to the foundation wall will always make it a vulnerable area for water penetration. And people will water their gardens and the soil will always be damp. Now, while we're here at the ground, don't let the soil slowly rise to the level of the wall siding. Always keep a 6 to 8-inch gap so the wall siding, such as brick, are not in contact with the soil, which will accelerate the deterioration of the siding material. Since we are looking at the wall, there is an exterior wall decoration that some homeowners create that we don't really recommend, and that is the growing vines on walls. Yeah, it can look nice and interesting, but plants hold water and prevent quick drying of the wall surface materials such as brick, and this can lead to accelerated deterioration of the material. As we walk around the house, we see our air conditioner unit and our next tip. Clean your outside air conditioner condenser unit. This is often forgotten from the number of AC units inspectors see with cake on dirt. Now, why is this important? Well, the unit has metal fins surrounded it and acts as a heat exchanger. If there's dirt on them, it affects the efficiency of the AC unit and thus affects how cool your house gets in the hot summer. We suggest you inspect the unit every year before summer and use a hose to wash the fins if they are dirty. Do not use a power washer, as you may damage the fins. Special cleaning products can be used, but you can also just use soap and water. Also, note if there is any bent fins. You can try to straighten them out with a condenser fin comb. Finally, make sure to clear any vegetation covering the unit, as it needs a clear path for air movement. Now, what about air conditioner covers, and do you need them? Air conditioner condenser units are manufactured for outdoor conditions and are made so that it is not required. So no, they are not actually needed. Of course, you can if you want to. It does have some advantages. You will have some protection from Canada's snow and ice and prevents debris from getting into the unit. But if you're going to get one, make sure you have one that has some vents to allow airflow inside. This prevents condensation from happening and the potential rusting of metal parts. Another problem with covers is that you don't want to forget to remove them before turning on the AC. That's not a good thing for it. Next, we have winterize your hose bib. This is another thing we talked about in a previous video. This is good maintenance for your outdoor hose bib when winter approaches. And the process is simple. Inside the house, turn off the water valve for the outside hose bib. Then open the hose bib valve to allow any remaining water in the pipe to exit. Now, this prevents any water in the pipe from freezing during winter, expanding, and then cracking the water pipe. Replacing your old hose bib with a new frost-free type, shown here, is even better. Here, just turn it off the hose bib, closes the valve inside the house, so no water can freeze. This type also benefits from the fact that most come with an anti-siphon device that prevents cross-contamination of water into the house. Now, let's look at your backyard deck. Many people often ignore maintaining their wood decks. When that happens, eventually they deteriorate when exposed to the elements year after year. But before that becomes too late, protect your wood decks with a cheap solution of waterproof stains and sealers. They offer UV protection and help extend the life of your deck for years until you decide to build a new one. Not to mention, they can make your deck look a lot nicer when you have your friends over. And while standing on your newly stained deck, this next piece of advice is a people safety tip. In older decks, guardrails are often not properly maintained. They become loose over time, and this becomes a safety hazard. A person leaning over a guardrail can put enough force to break it and fall. And depending on the height of the deck, this could be fatal. So always make it part of your annual checkup to see if the guardrail, and stair handrail for that matter, are loose. And while looking at the guardrail, also look at the spindles. Are they too far apart? They should be no wider than 4 inches. This is so that children cannot put their head or body through them. You should also have no horizontal details, as they provide a good footing for children to climb over the guardrail. Our final advice deals with penetrations in the house. The most vulnerable parts of a wall are the doors, windows, and piping through the walls that deal with things like gas lines, electrical lines, AC refrigerant lines, and exhaust vents. Ensure you make an annual inspection of walking around the house and checking these penetrations for proper sealant. Notice any lack of seal and gaps. These can lead to water intrusions through the wall. Silicone is a common sealant used to make a watertight joint. A simple and inexpensive solution that can help you secure your home. And thank you for watching our video of performing 10 simple checkups to maintaining your house. If you find the information here useful, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. And think about us for your next home inspection. Oh, and check out these videos.